And hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm having problems speaking already. Steve Sandy and Marty Edwards here for another episode 5, I think, of, yeah, this is pretty good, but episode 5 of AWT TV. And hopefully I got the sound to work on the intro. I just realized the second time I shared it and had the wonderful little video playing, I didn't click on that sound thing. So you may have seen it, maybe didn't hear it. How are you doing, Marty?
Oh, doing fine, Steve. It looks like it's just going to be me and you tonight. Dennis
Yeah,
is MIA, missing in Arizona.
yes, he is. I hope he's having a good trip. He and his family are doing the Grand Canyon and a lot of the good things around that area. That's a beautiful part of the country, and I, I envy him right now. I'd love to be there.
He's taking a much needed break. He writes profusely.
Yes, he does. And so if people notice that the level of the quantity goes down, my fault.
Well, I tell you, we're going for a little quality this week, and I always have quality, but Dennis cranks it up quality and quantity.
Yes, he does. Well, and I don't know if he ever sleeps. That's my guess is he just can't sleep or something. And because I'll see stuff that's out there, it looks like 5:30 in the morning my time. So
Yeah.
he must be getting up early, and that's good. Glad somebody can do
Yeah.
that. Oh man. Well, we've got a kind of a fun show going on here today. Hopefully I probably ought to tweet real quick that we're live, so hopefully we can get some live viewers. If you want to tell people what today is, it's a special day.
Well, it is. It's the 2-year anniversary of the Apple Watch. I think that's what you were talking about.
That's
It's a
exactly what I
special
was
day.
talking about.
Yeah. Well, I don't have my Apple Watch on right now. I generally don't wear it around the house. I always have my phone attached to me, but there's 2 Apple Watches in this home, my wife and I both. And so 2-year anniversary. We were not first day adopters by any means. Waited a little while. I think we got hers. So this is obviously April. Got hers, I think, in August following. And mine was a little bit later. It was actually a gift from a local friend. And so,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I
How
do a
come
lot of
I
IT work for her.
was going to say, how come none of my friends ever give me Apple Watches?
Well, maybe you already had one. And
That's
so,
probably it. They probably knew I ordered. Well, in fact, it's funny because I don't know if you're familiar with this app, but there's a great app out there called Time Hop. And what Time Hop does is you initially give it access to like photos and Twitter and Facebook and anything you happen to do. And what it does is any particular day comes up and it'll show you what you did last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I've actually been on there or been on social media long enough that it's now going back and they'll say 9 years ago you did this. But the funny thing was I went in over the past couple of days and I've been reading, it was like 2 years ago and it was, oh, everybody else is getting shipping notices for their Apple Watches, but I haven't seen mine. And then I think it was for today. It said, Apple Watch just showed up. I'm going to do an unboxing. Pretty fun.
yeah, that is exciting. Be a first day adopter. Like I said, I was not, and as regular listeners or viewers know, I've commented before. I'm not a super fan of the Apple Watch. I mean, I like it. It's great. It's not my favorite Apple product, but it is really really nice, and it wouldn't be my first thing to necessarily buy, but I really do like it a lot. And I like to wear it to more dress and social occasions, and especially when I had to have the phone muted. Uh, I like that little tap on the wrist, and I really do like it a lot. So it's a great product. Uh, but probably not my favorite Apple product, but there's so many that I like so well, and it is really nice.
Well, I tell you that the one thing, it sounds like you said, kind of like it's not dressy, or I think you kind of said that it's not really dressy. You should have gotten one of the Apple Watch editions. That would have only cost you,
Yeah.
what was it? Several $1,000s,
It was right at
10,000.
$10,000. Then I could not have gone to the event and had nothing hardly except rags to wear. But no, I actually, I'm the opposite. I wore the black one to more dressy events. And I'll be honest, I'm surprised how many local people, we do live in a rural farming, very agrarian based community. And I'm surprised how many people I see out wearing it. And I tell you what,
Yeah.
we've had the most fun lately. There, and even our small town of 2,000 people, there's at least three or four there's four places that take the Apple Watch: McDonald's, Rite Aid, local grocery, and Ace Hardware.
Oh,
And
nice.
so my wife always uses Apple Pay, and now she uses it on her watch. She goes to the drugstore and checks out. It's always great when we have a new checking person. She went the other night, just held their watch up there, and they said, "Oh, wow, that is so cool," and they wanted to know all about it and everything. So that factor I love about it. So
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the reasons that the first probably 3 or 4 months, I never saw another person with an Apple Watch. And then slowly but surely, I started seeing more of them, in the wild. And now it just amazes me how many I see, especially, as it's getting towards springtime and people are wearing short sleeve shirts. And, you go to public places and you look around and there's a lot of Apple Watches out there. And I think it says a lot too for Apple doesn't do a tremendous amount of advertising. If they do, it's just a little 15-second short ads, it seems like. But they don't have to, because in a lot of cases, people, like you said, you pay with the Apple Watch, with Apple Pay, and people go, "Wow, I've never seen that before.
yeah,
What is that?" And you go, "Oh, that's an Apple Watch, and Apple Pay is part of that, and it works really cool." And I just, I can't say enough good things. That is one of my favorite things to do. We did a driving trip last spring, like in the May-June timeframe, and we drove down to Texas, went to places like Austin and the Hill Country near Austin, and San Antonio, some of the other places, and but driving to and from, the one traveler's friend is McDonald's, because you can always find a clean bathroom wherever you are. So we made a lot of stops at McDonald's, and we always thought, oh, let's get a Coke or something like that to drink. And at so many of those places out in the middle of nowhere in Texas or Oklahoma Panhandle or whatever, I'd pay with the Apple Watch, and that was the first time somebody had done that at one of those places, and they were just
yeah.
amazed.
Yeah, I know we've used it around here, and they would say, "Well, you're the first one we've seen to do this." I had to admit, I have never used Apple Pay on my watch, but my wife does a lot. She actually prefers the watch, seems to. She uses it more than the phone. So as I said, we have
Cool.
four places in town. I mean, it's not exactly like we're in Denver, LA, or something here. No, there's just four places we can use it. But I basically have stopped using it. We both have at McDonald's drive-through, because you'll get a kick out of it. We use it when we go inside, but the drive-through, even if they're familiar with it, well, a lot of times they'll say, "Well, hand me your phone." I say, "Well, I've got to hand you my thumb with
Uh-uh.
it. It's not going to work." So they'll hand me the credit card kiosk. It comes unplugged every time, and that because the cord's not long enough. Then they have to reboot it, and I'm not kidding. It's usually 5 to 7 minutes. They have to call the manager back. Everybody's behind me, and 3 times they've given me my meal free because they couldn't get away from me to pay. And so now, so when some of my family's with me, "Are you going to use Apple Pay so we can get the meal free?" And but I think the first time I told them, I said, "I'm going to use Apple Pay." She said, "You want 2 apple pies?" I let it go. And but they most of them now have seen it, but they have a trouble handing me the kiosk. I have to really reach, and also I hope McDonald's can work that out, where they make it a
Yeah.
little bit easier to use it at the drive-through. But going inside is absolutely perfect. There's no problem. I just wave it
Yeah.
over there and then see the stunned look on the worker that, how'd you pay? So they see it was paid for.
I said,
But
I've got this chip
yeah,
embedded in my brain.
yeah. But the Apple Watch has been a great thing, and I'll probably wear it, even more. I guess whenever we get more things, if it ever has, talk about it maybe.
Yeah.
What will the next 2 years bring next year on the Apple Watch? What do you think, Steve? You're in the know of what the Apple Watch is going to have.
Well, the one thing I would love to see, I don't know if it'll have it or not, because I simply think it would chew up, too much power. But the one thing I've really thought would be cool is to be able to have or be able to do a lot of the things that we do with our Apple Watches without having to have an iPhone nearby. Now, we've talked about that before, that could really almost cannibalize some of Apple's business, in that they wouldn't sell those nice high margin iPhones. If you had something that you could just make a phone call on, or even a video call, and if you could do everything with Siri without having to have the iPhone right next to you as well. But I think you'd find that a lot of people would say, no, I'm going to stick with my phone, because there's so many things that you can do with the phone. You've got games, you've got
Right.
all these things. And, so I'm not sure it would really cannibalize things that much. You'd get one subset of people who'd say, I just make a lot of voice phone calls, or I do a lot of FaceTiming, and this would be great for me, just being able to have the watch that would do everything, that would have cellular built into it. But I think for the most part, for the rest of us, we're still going to have everything in the ecosystem, the iPhone, the Apple Watch, whatever, until, the one thing I think of is if they do come out with those augmented reality glasses, and if they make so those of us who do not have perfect eyes can somehow use those, or buy a pair of prescription lenses for them, that would be perfect, because then you could have the brains of the device in your wrist and have the display up here, and that would be cool. I'm betting that's probably 3 or 4 years off.
Well, I definitely think that's where it's going. As you obviously have seen, there were some leaks at the end of last week of safety documents where it looks like they have been testing glasses of some kind. And so I'm sure the corporate board meeting, they were probably not too happy with those leaks, But sometimes I wonder, and I doubt it, but I wonder if leaks aren't a little bit controlled. Accidental phone left places in San Francisco is just sometimes a little too obvious.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think I read a good article today, and it said that they felt that the phone factor was basically at the end of its life. Not that we're going to stop using it, but and it was a very major site, and it was on one of the ZD net. And they felt that it was there's nowhere to go with the phone. We've really gotten as thin as we can. We don't want to go any bigger or any smaller, really. And of course, there's probably more that we can do. And they said, what's next? And it was the glasses and augmented reality they thought was the next big thing. I mean, there's more we can do with the phone, but it's pretty much a mature market, right now. A mature device.
Yeah, and it's surprising how quickly it became mature when you consider that this is just the 10th year, really, of the smartphone.
Well, that's what they said. It's only been 10 years, and it just escalated to where it's at.
Yeah, and it surprises me too when you see. I think I'm trying to remember how many people on the planet have smartphones. It's a scary number. I keep thinking it's almost like globally, it was somewhere in the 40 to 50% range.
Right.
And when you think about that, that's so huge.
Well, it really is,
Yeah.
We're connected people now.
For better or worse.
Well, it's funny. I haven't flown. Both you and I are old school, and I'm not necessarily emphasizing the old, but we've been in computers since the 80s, at least. And So, and you may even touch the 70s a little bit with computer ownership and work. But I came in very, very early 80s. 82 is my first computer. And I mean, I love where we've gone. I love where we're going. But just in the past week, I took Facebook off my phone, off my iPad. I don't need to be too connected. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with Facebook, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I'll check every once in a while. I think I've checked once or twice in the last 2 or 3 months, or I ask my wife, check who's doing something.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I think we'll all settle into how we want to use the technology,
Yeah.
be it augmented glasses. We all don't have to do the same thing. And we need to remember to stay a little disconnected too.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that last year really kind of hit home how horrible Twitter had become. And to be honest with you, about the only time I use it now is to make, put out notices, things for the website. I really haven't done a lot of tweeting lately. And I had to, last year, pretty much block a lot of people that I follow simply because things were getting very, very toxic. People were yelling at each other, verbally, and saying some pretty awful things. And I just said, I'm not going to be part of that.
Right.
Facebook, I went in and there are two things you could do. You can unfollow and unfriend. I unfollowed some people so I don't have to see what they're saying, but there's still friends out there. But I had to do that with a lot of people because once again, they were so obsessed about one viewpoint or another politically that it was just like finally I went, shut up. I don't want to hear this anymore. And I got to admit right now, I like the way it is. And I've got, some very good friends and some, people who are acquaintances who I've never really met in person, but, know through the website. And those people, I like them. They're great. And we kind of sit there and have some great conversations on Facebook. But Twitter, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, if it wasn't for for Apple World today, I probably wouldn't spend any time on there.
Well, I liken it to going to a grocery or buffet. I'll get the things I really like, but just because I get that, I don't have to choose the broccoli or something. I'll pick on that. And so
lima beans.
Yeah, or something. And so Facebook is fine, the social media, but I've really gotten away from it and really pick and choose what I want to see on my phone and appear. And I'll have to do that with the augmented, reality glasses as well. I actually read an article, I think since our last broadcast, it said that people were spending so much time checking social media that it was driving some people insane. It probably was speaking metaphorically, but some people are just simply obsessed that they've got to check all the time. And, it is like going to the buffet. I don't have to eat everything to get my fill. I'll probably be better off if I don't. So,
well, yeah, and
tying it all together, with our watch and augmented glasses, we can control how much we want. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah. Well, it almost from some of those augmented reality glass tests and hearing about somebody was getting eye burn, from a laser.
Right.
You got to wonder if maybe that'll be something that Apple will actually say, hey, we limit people to X number of hours per day because we don't want to harm your eyes, or, it could just be that they were doing some measurements or something, and that's what hurt people. But that was a little freaky reading.
Well, it
that.
is. It's a little scary, that the lasers there. But I think from the leaks that we've seen, here we are 2 years today. This is April 24, checking the calendar on the computer. So it's 2 years ago today, April 24, 2015, the watch came out. So what, not putting you on the spot, but where do you think we will be in 2 years? You think the glasses will be available, a much more advanced watch, or something else?
Well, I got a feeling, a lot of people keep thinking that the Apple Watch 3 will come out this year. And I think that's about time. I think you know, the first generation was great, and that's what I'm still using. 2-year-old product still works great. In fact, I think it works better now than it used to, simply because of watchOS 3. The second generation, sped things up a lot. I don't have a second generation watch, so I can't tell you. But people I know who did get them said, "Oh, it's like night and day. It seems a lot faster. Things respond quicker. You don't get the sitting there waiting for something to load." If the third generation brings that built-in capability for LTE connectivity, maybe go between LTE and Wi-Fi. So when you're in a house, it immediately goes on Wi-Fi. If you're out in a field somewhere, it's on LTE. If that comes out, we've talked about that before on the show. My guess is that the watch band will probably have a flexible battery in it, just to be able to provide the extra power that they're going to need for that. There are already some third parties that are working on watch bands that will have video cameras built in, so you can do video FaceTiming or something like that. I think it'd be really bad of Apple to come out with a product, a third generation of a watch that didn't have some way of doing some sort of video chat. So I've got to expect that it would have something like that as well. But, if they do decide that, maybe this form factor is great as an interface for voice, and maybe this is going to be the brains of the entire system, and they come up with some sort of great way of giving us that augmented reality and have things displayed that we can see in front of us. My guess is I'd still see that like maybe a year or two away. Just a wild guess.
Well, whenever we think in 10 years of how far the iPhone's gone from the first one to what we have now, it's night and day. I think it's
Yeah.
going to happen with the watch. We won't go any bigger, really, because, just the look on your wrist. But, I think one of the issues, and I think Apple will work it out, and I think you had the answer there, is going to be power. If they have something like you
Yeah.
described that goes from LTE to Wi-Fi, et cetera, it might be something that I take for a quick trip and just leave the phone at home,
Yeah.
as long as I could still get the calls. But power is going to be an issue. I think it'll be within the band. There are other options. You remember from the 70s and before, we had wristwatches that would wind themselves with kinetic, the movement of your
Yeah.
walking and such like. There's no reason there couldn't be a micro dynamo that would help top off a
Yeah.
battery a little bit of solar power, just, within the screen or band. Anything's going to add some back. And so I think they'll get that worked out. And who knows, there may be a total breakthrough of battery technology, but
Well,
right
we
now
can only hope.
right now it's not looking like it. You saw the guy at Austin, Texas. What was his name? Has come up with something. He's like a
Oh, yeah.
97-year-old professor. He had a very unique.
Yeah.
Good enough was his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a brilliant guy. Apparently he was responsible for coming up with the idea of using lithium ion, polymers for batteries in the first place. And then he figured out, or apparently they figured out a way of allowing these things to be charged much, much faster. And I guess the storage capacity was also improved, but the
Right.
charging time was just really amazing. They were talking like you'd be able to do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we'll have something like that. They'll get it worked out. As the old adage goes, necessity is the mother of invention. And it's going to push the technology. So this was a good day to have a broadcast on the anniversary of the Apple Watch. And your phone must I can hear the little trill when your phone rings. It's probably a ringing. It sends a lot of data when it rings. It's a big process.
Yeah.
And but I'm excited where the Apple Watch is going. Maybe augmented reality. I don't know about wearing that in public, but like you said, if they can do, I don't wear prescription glasses. I might come Wednesday. I'm having a checkup, but if I get prescription glasses with it or something. So anyway, but we all, and even you have a good example there. Your phone. I assume it was ringing, but I don't know. Your phone may have been
Oh, I
interacting.
was getting a text message because I could feel it pulsing down there.
Oh,
So
that's neat because I got one and I don't think mine did it. So yours is feeding your watch and everything else. And uh, but I like where we're going with all the various things and interfacing together. And I'm still excited beyond, I won't say measure, but excited about the iMacs this year and Mac Pro. And that's
yeah,
probably not going to be, that won't be this year. But, so there's good things keep us excited.
yeah. And I tell you, the one thing and we've talked about this before too, but there have been like in the past week, some rumors about iPad Pro possibly coming out next month, and that's something that's I hate to say it, it's getting a little long in the tooth too, because that first iPad Pro came out what 2 years ago, around 2 years ago, and you know I I love my iPad Pro, but I tell you, if they could jump up the speed and the capacity, another another level there, I would be more than happy to see that.
Well, I agree. I do use an iPad. I think we've got one, two, three iPads in the house. Not a many. I had the first generation as well, and I actually still use it. And just for audio,
Cool.
it works. And so, um, thinking about where that they're going with the phones and all the things and the watches, I won't say we've reached the end of where the phones can go, but I did yesterday. And if anyone's really a Galaxy or Samsung fan, I mean no offense, but I got to handle my first Galaxy S8 yesterday. And
Ah,
so, I'm glad. I was really wanting to. Had a guest at the house. I had just bought it the day before. And so I got to play with it a little bit and feel. And it's really a nice phone, but it's not even the Android software that would keep me from wanting it. The form factor is a little taller, a little thinner, glass front and back, very slick. But as people said, I didn't have a chance to try it, but that fingerprint reader placement on the back is really in an awkward position. It's up high next to the
oof.
camera. So the phone is super nice, but I don't think it's going to dethrone an iPhone.
Speaking of which, I don't know if you got a chance to see the Dale or the news update today, or the comments that came with it, but there there's a hardware issue with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Pro right now, where some of the devices are showing a kind of a reddish
Mm-hmm.
tinge on the screen, and apparently it's not everything. So it's got to be some manufacturing defect that's going on there. Now, if something like that ever happened with an Apple device, first, I don't think it would. I honestly don't think it would, because it would, they test everything too damn
Right.
much.
Yeah.
And I think they probably hold their suppliers to a higher standard as well. But if they did, I can imagine Apple would, probably stop shipping. They'd probably have people send back their units or something like that until they fix the problem. What the folks at Samsung are doing is they said, oh, well, we already have this capability of changing the tint of your screen. And what we're going to do is let you tweak it more.
Yeah. Well, I
Not
agree.
an answer.
No, I just don't think they have the quality control that Apple has. And a lot of articles I've read, and I do like the Samsung devices just fine. I had a Galaxy S2 before I went to an iPhone. I think it was between BlackBerry and iPhone. And I like them. I love the AMOLED screen. They are really
Yeah.
rich, deep colors, and that's something I'm hoping Apple will come out with. But it seems like they tend to rush to market with a fingerprint reader. They wanted to get it under the glass, but didn't have time. And it's every review I've read that is the negative thing,
Yeah.
about it. And so uh, they say that Apple may have trouble with that, but I think Apple will choose to change nothing before they will ship something that's low quality. that's
Yeah.
going to be a step backwards.
Yeah. It's, this entire thing where it looks like we'll probably have, uh, two varieties coming out, like an iPhone 7S and 7S Pro, and this iPhone X8, whatever the heck it is.
10.
Uh, that really, yeah, 10, whatever it's going to be. It just seems like that's almost, it may confuse the market a bit. And I would hate to be somebody who is actually sitting there trying to make the decision on how many of each product do we make?
Right,
Because,
exactly.
do we make more of these, that are really super state of the art that are going to cost a lot more, and even though we may have lesser yields, or do we make an equal number? Do we make more of this? And because it's going to have the lower price and more people are going to buy it. Who knows? I would hate to be in that decision making mode.
Well, I know you and I being doing the things we do, we've got to have the good one. Not that the other ones are bad, but
Yeah.
it's just you can't stand to have the other one knowing the other one's out there.
Yeah.
And well, we need to test. Somebody's got to write about it and blog about it.
Well, and the bad thing is, whenever these new features come out, like you said, you have to write the how-tos, how
Yeah,
do you do
exactly.
this? Well, I've been surprised at, I think I've, over the last, since the beginning of the year, I've probably written maybe 4 or 5 how-tos that have to do with specific Apple apps and using the 3D touch on there. That's something that's not available on a lot of Apple iPhones right now, but it is such a time saver in a lot of respects. Certain things that you can do that you can't do on the other phones. And it is important to get that information out there. I think, not only for people who are maybe curious about it, but, also people who are getting the phone. And, Apple doesn't do a real good job of, giving you instructions on, hey, did you know if you press a little bit harder, you're going to have this menu pop up?
I wonder if they're going to get to the point that's a little hard for the screen to handle what they want to. The 3D touch, if there's a fingerprint sensor under it, they say the camera may be under it. It's really an engineering feat, even as it is right now. It's an amazing piece of engineering. I don't see how they get in what they've got in there. What are we? Someone can correct me, but are we at 14 nanometers on the chip right now? Or it may be 16,
like that,
and they're looking to go to 10. We're eventually going to be to 16 and even, single digits, I meant to say, and 7. And so, how, to quote a song from Greece, how low can you go? And, I don't know how much lower we're getting down to atoms, almost literally. And, I don't think the phone needs to be any thinner. I'm very happy with how thin it is. I wouldn't complain if it was a little thicker for more battery, a little bit bigger processor or something, but I'm very, very pleased with it. And I think now and they are doing a great job with this, but what makes your phone come alive is the software. Otherwise, it's just a slab of metal and glass. Software brings it to life. And so I'm eager to see what iOS 11 will bring and other various things. I've said this to people I know are probably sick of hearing, but I haven't said it in a while, so they've had a chance to recover. I would love to have a little bit more, since it's so powerful, things like the, not necessarily like widgets like Android, but active icons where they would show the weather or just little things a little bit more. The processing power is there, and probably batteries are concerned. But I think we're going to see some exciting things coming up. And in the point of software, I'm probably wrong on this, but today was the first day, may have been, I definitely noted, they released a new beta for developers, and before the day was over, released it again for the public, same day.
Nice.
And so that probably means it's getting near finished.
Yeah, I was earlier, I've got this iPad mini that sits here, and that's kind of where I make sure that the video feed is working and stuff. And sure enough, it came up with, do you want to install I think it was, 10.3.2 beta, blah, 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 blah. I just had to say, no, not right now. I want to,
Right.
I'll do it tonight. Uh, so I just have to tell you about a neat new product. Well, it's not a new product, but something that was new for me. And actually, it's going to probably be obsolete here pretty quickly, even though I think they may keep it around as kind of the low end product. But I got one of these for review today, an Ecobee 3 Lite
Oh, nice.
smart thermostat. And the interesting thing is that the uh, originally the differentiating factor between the Ecobee 3 Lite and the Ecobee 3, the regular version, was that the other one allowed you to have these little room sensors. You could have up to 32 in the house, and you just locate them around, and then they can tell if a person's in a room with a motion sensor. And if you've got things set up properly, it'll say, oh, well, there appears to be an activity in this room. People must be in there. Therefore, what I'm going to do is make sure that the temperature in that room is comfortable. It may be too hot downstairs, or, vice versa. Maybe it's cooler downstairs and it's warmer up here or something like that. But anyway, that was the differentiating factor. Then just last week, they came out with an update to the app for this, and to the firmware. And they said, oh, now you can have sensors. You can add sensors in. So that's pretty cool. What surprised me about it, I mean, you take a look at this, and I thought this thing was going to be, like 6 inches on the side or something like that. It's actually smaller than the picture that you see on here.
Ah.
And in fact, it's quite a bit smaller. It's like, maybe 3/4 of the size there. Likewise, when I looked at the website, it showed these room sensors, and I kept thinking, oh, they're probably like, maybe 6 inches tall, and pretty wide. This is the room sensor.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
little tiny thing.
Yeah.
And,
So all connected by Wi-Fi, I assume.
yeah, and this was really surprised the heck out of me. Setting these up was simple. The first one, you just have to take one of them down, and you activate it by pulling this little plastic strip out that exposes the battery. And then the thermostat actually says, oh, there's a sensor there. What do you want, what do you want to do? Do you want to, give it a name? Do you want to call it upstairs bedroom, or, bathroom, or something like that? And then it, basically at that point, just it becomes part of the overall network. So, so far, really, really amazed with it. I'm going to be doing a pretty much full review on it. I mean, I've got old thermostat wiring, and they even have a way of providing power to the Ecobee, to the actual thermostat. If, for the houses that didn't have a power wire going up there. So very, very cool. It took me about an hour to install it today, which I was being very slow and very deliberate about it, because I have a tendency to cause things to burn, accidentally. So that was a double thumbs up.
Well, I have seen those, but I've never seen one in person. My only familiar thermostat is I'm responsible for the Nest thermostat as our church building. And
Okay.
so I'm definitely interested. At home, since we rarely are gone, I do not have a smart thermostat. The smartness is one of us go by, it's hot or it's cold, and we adjust it a little bit. But
do you ever get into those family battles where it's too cold in here, turn it up. It's too hot in here, turn it up.
It's pretty much a peace regarding that,
Good.
And so, but I really do, I think thermostats are one of the things that's really is a very logical Internet of Things to come. And so.
Well, I'm actually, if I can get this iPad Pro to connect here. If I can remember my password. There we go. What I may do, whoops. Well, I'm fumbling here, but I was thinking we could do a demonstration of the software for this thing.
If your wife hollers and says, "I'm burning up," you know you haven't got it quite right, or freezing.
Well, hopefully it's not literal either.
Yeah.
That'd be a horrible thing. Let's see. It's coming up. Come on, baby. There we go. Yeah, it's got to load some stuff here. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do a screen share here for everybody. And we'll see if we can take a look at this. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. There we go. Phone and iPad. Oh, a plugin is required. I haven't installed that plugin yet there. There we go. Okay, this will take just a second here. Dum-de-dum-de-dum.
I wonder if Dennis is watching us live.
I hope so. Okay, so let's see. I need to choose another network here. I tell you, we are so on the bleeding edge here. It's scary.
And they get to bleed with us.
Yes, they do. You kind of got to feel sorry for people. Let's see, AirPlay. There we go. Hello. Let's see, enable mirroring. Come on. Come on, daggone it. Well, everybody's probably seeing a nice black screen right now.
It's actually a sort of a soft gray.
I don't know why it's not coming up here. Well, what the heck? Yeah, unable to connect. I'll try a second time. There we are.
Got it. Yeah. Success.
Okay. So now all I have to do is get rid of that. And here's the Ecobee app. And right now what it's showing is you can actually use this to do, kind of get an overview of the entire system. Hopefully people can see my cursor scooting around on there, but it's showing the internal humidity of the house, the temperature. I've got it set so air conditioning will go on when it's 78 or above in the house. Heat will go on when it's 66 or below. I actually thought I set that lower, but that's what it's showing right now. You can set the fan to auto or to actually turn it on if you want a fan to run and kind of circulate air in your house. Reminders and alerts. I'm always forgetting to change the filter on our device, and it's actually a reusable filter that's built in. It's an air cleaning system. So I've got that set up so that it will remind me every 3 months to go in and actually fix things. Home IQ is something that I won't actually get to experience until I've got about a month of service. But what that does is it actually generates information on runtime, how long did my furnace run, how long did my air conditioner run, how efficient is the house. And there's actually even a system monitor. There it is. And you can see I turned this on at about probably 2 o'clock, 2:30, and it's keeping everything kind of that's the actual indoor temperature. That's where I'd like to be, down there a little bit. And this is the outdoor temperature right now. So it keeps track of all that information for you. When heating or air conditioning actually turns on, it will, actually show that I've got that going on as well. Some of the other things you can do are, and I keep accidentally hitting the same button there. Stop it. See, it's bad here. You do get a weather report actually on the device. But this is where you can schedule things, and they actually do like normally 3 different schedules. One is when you're away from the house, it doesn't see any motion or anything, so it'll actually turn the cooling down or the temperature in the house. Anyway, heating down or cooling up. When you're home, it'll also do some other settings. And for instance, when I'm asleep, we like it nice and cool in the house. So if it's cold outside, it'll just shut off the heat until the temperature gets down to about 62 in the house, and it'll kick it in. So a lot of things here. Here are the sensors that I've got set up. A lot of information and a lot of things that you can actually go in and change. And like I said, just amazed with how easy it was to get that thing working. It's very simple, even for a home, a do-it-yourselfer klutz like myself.
Yeah. Well, is it HomeKit compatible?
Yes, it is. In fact, the first thing that I did, the first command I actually did was actually through the app, through Siri, and I said, turn the thermostat up to 74, because I just wanted to make sure everything was working. And I'm sitting there going, didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden I heard the furnace go on. It was like, cool, it worked.
Well, that is what will HomeKit allow you to do, with it? Just verbal commands mostly, because you obviously got an app for the thermostat.
Yeah, it'll let me set the temperature, and you can also do it from the Apple Watch, pretty much just same type of thing, asking Siri. And I think you can also get an idea of what the temperature is. If you happen to be away from the house, you can ask, what's the temperature at the thermostat. And I think the other big thing is you can do geofencing. So you can, when I'm within 5 miles of the house, turn the air conditioning on and let it start cooling the house. Do something like that.
That's pretty neat. So there are a lot of capabilities. And I did notice, and I was sharing with you earlier, they just are coming out next month, the Echo B4. I wonder what they're going to add.
It'll probably read your mind.
Probably so.
Keep going on about that. Yeah, I don't know what they could do. And like I said, I'm just impressed. This little box that's about yay big, that big, but and real thin, beautiful display on it. Very nice OLED display, and totally impressed. And I think they're on sale right now too. I don't recall what the price was, but hold on just a second. I'll go out to Amazon. And Ego B3 Lite. There is currently on sale for $169 at Amazon.
Well, that's not bad at all, and you can recoup that cost really quick. Church building's a different situation, but when we installed one in our church building, our heating bill in the winter using natural gas, we were running probably about $250 a month, something like that, because we'd have to sometimes leave it on for a day or two before we got there. If someone went by, turn it on. But once we installed it, our bill dropped down to probably about 120, 150 a month, sometimes 100.
Wow.
So like in 1 month, we chopped $100. Yeah. It's almost instant. And then the savings keep on. So it was, instant savings.
You've got a Nest there, correct?
Right, we do. And the reason we save so much because we have services on Sunday, then on Wednesday. And sometimes if it was real cold, you might want to leave it up a little high on Wednesday to be ready for Sunday. So there was a lot of days of heating that were a little wasted or go over early Saturday. But now I can just program it to come on like at 2 a.m. Sunday morning, have everything ready, make sure it never gets below 50. And I'm going to have it set to never get above 90 in the building in the summer. And the savings were phenomenal. We're literally talking about $150 a month less that we were spending.
Wow.
So it easily paid for it.
Yeah, I tell you, in our house, I think I've mentioned we've got solar photovoltaic system. So our energy costs for electricity are like nothing, pretty incredibly low. But the big thing is natural gas. And when we're in the heating season, like we we still are, that's going to be fantastic to see that, especially when we get into this fall and next winter, to be able to see the savings there.
Well, it will be. It's interesting because we're in a transition. We've already been using cooling I'd say close to a month. But the last 2 days we've had to use heat. But then, by Saturday they're calling for 88 degrees, so we'll be back to cooling.
Well, it was funny. Remember, I kept telling you how hot it was here?
Right.
Well, spring has finally hit, and now we're supposed to get rain, which we need badly. Rain, and I think they're even talking about maybe possibly snow on Saturday. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, you have to see how well the Echo Bee heats up for you. So.
Yes, indeed. Well, what do you have for a demo today?
Well, I was just going to demo an app that's nothing new really, but it's one of my favorite apps. Let me pull up my phone sharing here, the screen. The viewers always get a little break when we go to sharing, don't they? Because it takes a few minutes here to be able to do that. But let me pull up where I can share uh, with the phone. Let's see, file, new movie recording. All right, and select the phone here. Take just a moment to pull it up. Okay, I'm still sharing me. I'm sorry, screen share. All right, desktop 2, or QuickTime is what I want. Okay.
There she is.
All right, there I am in QuickTime, but let's change it from the camera to the phone. And there we go.
There we are.
All right, good. All right, this app, I really enjoy astronomy, and I actually did some beta testing for this company for a while on this particular app. After it's out, they sent me some betas, and it's called Luminos, as you see there, Luminos. It's a really neat app. It's an astronomy app. All right, right now it tells my location where I'm at, 2 miles to the south of Hardyville, Kentucky. That's where I'm at. And you can see the western sky right now. We still got a little bit of glow to the west. Mars is just going down. As you can see, there's Orion and everything. Just a beautiful sky. And you may even see, if I scan around, perhaps I'm sure some meteors going. But it's so much more than that. It's beautiful. But let's say I want to see what the sky looks like from, I don't know, maybe let's just go around Denver, that area, but I want to go somewhere real mountainous. So I clicked on the Earth and I want to orbit the Earth. All right.
Whoa.
There's the night sky right now. Let's go somewhere. All right, here's a good termination line, be some mountains. I'm just going to drop somewhere here in the Rockies. Okay, I click on land. I want to land right in the Rockies. All right, the sun's going down, but I happened to hit somewhere in Utah. And you saw a little delay. Look what it did. It loaded the actual terrain for where I'm at. Those aren't just randomly generated mountains. It knows where I'm at and add those mountains in as it would be there if you were viewing approximately. And so
I'm impressed.
It's a really nice program. And so let's go somewhere else. As a matter of fact, I don't see Jupiter's up, but I don't see Saturn right now. So let me actually hit browse solar system. And I want to pick Saturn here. And the reason is because it has rings. And I want to show you something really neat that you can do. I want to fly into orbit to Saturn from Earth. And there we go. Coming in, there's the moons flying out. There's Saturn. The way it is right now, the moons are in their right spot and everything, looking back toward the sun. There it is, and you can see the shadows properly. Look at the shadows on the ring. I wonder what Saturn looks like from Titan. I click on Titan. Let's go into orbit around Titan. All right. I guess it's $5 on the App Store. It's not very much. There's Titan. I'm in orbit, and there's there's some of the other moons. I'd actually really like to land on Titan right at the termination line. Let's just land right there. See what the stars would look like from there. Okay. But and you can see the other planets and everything.
Oh, wow.
I'm getting a little homesick, so I'll just hit home up here in the upper left corner. Takes me back to my location. There's Earth coming in. You'll probably see the moon go by. There it went, right there, the moon.
Zip.
And here I am home back in Kentucky. And we still have a little bit of daylight back there. So it's really, and of course,
is cool.
Yeah, it really is neat. I love the way it looks. Let me real quick, I'm going to orbit the Earth and go to somewhere where it's just now getting sundown right here. Let's just go to like Southern California or Arizona here, right here at the termination point. And I'm going to land right there because we ought to have good dusk. And it's going to put, it's pretty flat there. But there we are looking east. Let's look actually west. Well, the sun's just going down right now. You know, I wonder what it would look like to orbit the sun right now and look back at Earth. You can do all that, just fly wherever you want. And I thought that might be something our readers would enjoy. I don't feel, I don't know why. It doesn't let me land on the sun.
Didn't want you to burn up there, man.
But you can zoom in, zoom out, and I'll head back home. But that's pretty much my demo for the week. You can do a lot of other things. You can zoom through time. Let's get back home. I'll click on the Earth here. And if I want to see how the stars are going to move over the next few hours or day, see what the stars are going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, and things like that. So, and
Nice.
you know, solar eclipses and everything such as that. So it's a really nice program. And as you see here at the, hit YouTube, bottom right of my apps, it's called Luminos, Luminos. And I think that's one of the nicest astronomy apps that I've seen.
I think I'm going to have to end up getting this because that very good demo.
Well, thank you very much.
That was excellent.
Well, I'm glad. I almost hated to do it without Dennis here because I really wanted to dazzle him, but he'll have to be dazzled later.
We'll have to dazzle him, and when he gets back from beautiful Arizona. Well, I think we've come to the end of another show here, and thanks again. That Luminos app. You said it was $4.99.
Yeah, I'm checking. It just says open, so I can't see price. And it was last updated April the 4th. But if you don't have it on, it's one thing the App Store you can't do. If I already own it, it won't show me the price to tell someone else. So someone had to look it up. I think it's like $4.99, but it's well worth it. I have gotten my money's worth out of it.
It's showing $24.99.
Luminos by Wobbleworks.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, I don't remember paying anything near that. And so,
but
it does have an Apple Watch app.
I think it's worth it. If you're into astronomy, that's a heck of an app.
Yeah, it seems like I only paid $5 for it. And like I said, I did do a little beta testing, but they didn't give me anything. I paid for it. And so, I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you did.
Wow. Well, I'll have to buy that for my anniversary or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, I think I mentioned we're looking at getting a very big Apple accessory here pretty soon, and I got to test drive it on Saturday. That was kind of fun. It was
Apple Car test drove.
Yeah. No, I wish. It was a Honda CRV, the 2017 model, and it's CarPlay compatible and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just totally impressed. 10 years ago, we bought the car we're going to be replacing, and how technology has changed in that 10 years is just incredible. So one of these days, when we get the car, which will probably be later in May, I'll have to figure out how CarPlay works, and then I'll try to do some video on that. without getting into an accident.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat. I would enjoy seeing that because that's been one of the criteria for a new vehicle for us. I'd really like to have, CarPlay in it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think we're kind of at the end of another show here. Next week will be episode 6, and we'll get absolutely wild on that show, I'm sure. I'm trying to remember how long. Do you remember how long Dennis said he was going to be out?
I think about a week. And I'll
Okay.
mention real quick, I didn't doubt you. I wanted to see $25 for that app, but it also tracks satellites, a space station, everything like that. You can track when they're going to be over. And so it's probably one of the best apps, I think, for astronomy. But anyway, I didn't mean to get back to that. I just wanted to add that in if anybody was
I
still
give it
interested.
well, I tell you, that was $25 worth of entertainment just watching that demo. That is impressive.
It is a nice app. I absolutely just love the way it looks. You didn't see it then, but if meteors are going on, you open it up, it shows meteors streaming. Of course, they don't get those in obvious real time, but it's a visual treat.
If they do, I'm going to really be impressed.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again. I'm not sure we got all that many live watchers. We're going to do something probably next week or the week after to try to bring up the number of live viewers. But I'm sure a lot of you are going to be watching this on YouTube after the fact. Thanks again. Be sure to tell your friends about the show. And we're here every Monday night. Somebody will be here. I'm not sure who. But
yeah. And I'm sorry I gave such a low price on that, but that is what I paid. They apparently have really escalated since then. So, I guess I'm grandfathered in.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and play the ever popular outro. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining. I see no outro, just for what it's worth.
Whoops. It always helps when you actually hit share screen.
Yeah. The outro was us this week.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that again, except this time to share the screen, because I want everybody to hear this beautiful music and see those beautiful pictures. So everybody have a great week.
Yep.
Here we go.